in stone about how a man should stand alone. Too hard, too cold, too much inside, or not enough spine to survive. Every screen tells me who to be, selling shame like currency. Try to lock me in a narrow frame, but I don't burn by borrowed flame. Feet on the ground, chest held high. I hear the noise, I hear the lies. Push me back, I push through. I don't need permission to be true. They don't get to tell me who I am. I stand my ground, I make my stand. No shame, no fear, I draw the line. This is my voice, this life is mine. I am, I am, I am. No shame, no fear, I draw the line. Labels fly like open fire. Every word just feeds the pyre. Pick a side, stay in your lane. Smile quiet, hide the pain. But I was built from sweat and will, from broken nights and standing still. I won't bow to every trend. I know where I start, I know where I end. Feet on the ground, chest held high. I hear the noise, I hear the lies. Push me back, I push through. I don't need permission to be true. They don't get to tell me who I am. I stand my ground, I make my stand. No shame, no fear, I draw the line. This is my voice, this life is mine. I am, I am, I am. No shame, no fear, I draw the line. I am not your headline, I am not your trend. I define the man I am from beginning to end. This life is They don't get to tell me who I am. I stand my ground, I make my stand. No shame, no fear, I draw the line. This is my voice, this life is mine. I am, I am, I am. No shame, no fear, I draw the line. They paint the sky with static lights, flickering screens, and neon guys. Truth dissolves in the digital haze. We're all just pawns in a twisted maze. Purple or blue, white or black, we all bleed red, that's a fact. Fools, fuels, freedoms, that's all we need. empty plates. They serve us fear. They call it fate. We're breaking chains. We're waking fast. Stay hold on us. We'll never lost. Purple or blue, white or black, we all bleed red, that's a fact. Fools, fuels, freedoms, that's all we need. They sow division, we plant the seed. Gaslight nation, we see through the game.
Hey guys.
Tired of the fire.
Welcome in to the A Potato's Eye Live. Yeah, I'm your host, A Potato. Welcome in. Let's see, who do we have first here? It's like Wickmoto. Pumpkinhead. Wickmoto, Pumpkinhead, welcome in. His Words of Love, welcome in. And Mushmouth Joe, welcome in. Mr. E, good to see you. And David, Alyssa, what up? It's good to see you all. All right, so starting out my stream, I'm going to try to start it out like I do my videos. So welcome in. It's good to see everybody. It's good to have my Tater Nation with me today. And as you know, us potatoes, we like to watch all the interesting things with all the eyes that we have. Lots and lots of eyes that we have, right? So to start off our day, as I usually do, our potato quote, a reaction without reflection is just noise. And noise never built a harvest, right? And then a quote from, apparently it's attributed to Mark Twain. A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes. Quite the comment there, isn't it? So this stream, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the current event of Rob Reiner passing. If you haven't read the description, RIP to Rob Reiner. He was an American author, and a lot of us probably know at least 2 or 3 of the movies that he's written. You know, I'll be going over a Timcast clip because Tim seems to be fairly central, and I'm trying to keep a central view of things. So I'll be taking a look at Timcast, and he mentions in there that, and I already know, but Rob Reiner is the one who wrote Princess Bride, right? And Princess Bride is almost as much of American culture as the clips that I've shown you of the horseback riding, of the rodeos. That is ingrained in most anybody that has grown up during that time. So I would like to put in my sentiments and say how deeply I feel for the family that has to go through this. And we'll get into it here in just a minute. To start off, I would like to start off with a little bit of a funny clip, so that it's not so quite as serious as much as I have been. We'll see if Reason Magazine, it looks like, will have a problem with me showing this. But I think it's pretty funny. So I'll bring it in and we'll take a look. All right.
And now, great moments and unintended consequences. Part 1, net benefits. The year, 2012. The problem? Birds are congregating on the Texas Medical Center campus and doing bird things. The solution? attach nets to the large oak trees on campus, forcing birds to take their business elsewhere. Sounds like a great idea. With the best of intentions, what could possibly go wrong? Turns out, birds eat bugs. With the birds gone, the trees became a haven for cute, furry-looking critters that happen to be North America's most venomous caterpillar. Contact with these toxic misery tribbles can cause intense radiating pain, vomiting, fever, convulsions, paralysis, and even death. With nets up and apex predators gone, researchers determined the population of these comb-over pain merchants increased by a whopping 7,300%. Bad news for anyone, but especially a vulnerable population seeking health care at, say, a medical center campus. But you know what they say, flock around and find out. Part 2, Prop Comment.
Too cold, too much inside or not.
Sorry about that, guys. So just because we have the best of intentions doesn't mean it's always going to work out the way that we want it to work out, right? So, kind of on the same lines, kind of not, but kind of a silly little clip that I found funny. So I wanted to share that. So, starting off our day, we'll go ahead and jump into the clip about his passing, and we'll go from there.
Legendary Hollywood director Rob Reiner and his wife were found dead. News is now trickling out. It appears the latest update. It's being reported that they were killed by their own son and that they had their throats slit in a heated argument. This is a horrifying story. And
so this is something I've gotten kind of conflicting reports about. This is part of the reason why I'm covering Tim over some of the other ones, is it seems like he has, again, who knows what's dependable and what's not, but this says that they had their throats and that's how they passed, and other conflicting reports say that they were just stabbed. So I'm not completely sure exactly what happened, but this is kind of Tim's take, and apparently the US Sun, sorry. The road to hell is paved with the best intentions. Exactly, Mr. B. That's just it. So we can think that we're doing the best that we can possibly do, and it's not always the best. So we have to be able to step back and think for a second and say, is this honestly the best route to be taking at this moment in time, right? We'll get
absolute tragedy. Rob Reiner was a notorious liberal political activist, and certainly many people on the right, many conservatives, were very critical of him. But right now we're seeing that important contrast that separates the worldview of the left and the right. I'm not sitting here to say that it's absolute, that every person on the left or every liberal wants every conservative or right-winger to die, but there is an absolute moral political divide. When Charlie Kirk is killed as a prominent political activist, we see celebration, widespread attacks and condemnation of Charlie, manipulations of his quotes. It is a power game for many of these individuals on the left. Now, I certainly understand. Rob Reiner himself, when Charlie Kirk was killed, came out and said that it was an absolute tragedy that never should have happened. And that's why I have respect for this man. But more importantly, I know, and you know, both of us, we could probably quote half of the movies that this guy made. You put on Princess Bride, I'm going to be able to read every line for you from start to finish. I don't even know why. It's just so good, even though I got to be honest, Princess Bride was not really that good.
Oh, come on.
I don't know.
Come on, Tim. That's sad. It was really good. It's a classic. Now, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's right. Maybe it was just during my time and it was the pinnacle of my time where it wasn't necessarily the pinnacle of his time. I'm not real sure. But I remember Princess Bride being one of the best shows that you could possibly be into at the time. So I'm not sure where he's coming from on that one.
Princess Bride was actually, it's a masterpiece. It's one of the best movies ever. Everybody knows it. But what I mean is it had something special about it that we all really loved, despite not being this massive Lord of the Rings-esque blockbuster. It was just a great movie, well done in so many ways. And we don't do movies like this anymore. And Rob did this, and he has now been killed. So I think the important thing to break down here is, first of all, let's jump into the current news and actually what's going on. We've got this headline from The Sun. Director.
So, and that's, again, and I'll probably jump through this a little bit, but he's basically condoning this act of our opponent, his opponent, whatever you want to call it. He may be a centrist. I'm trying to be centrist. I don't understand what's going on. I don't know why there's so much hate between the two sides. When, like I just mentioned, like Mr. B, the road to hell is paved with the best of intentions. If you're always thinking that you have the best intentions and you're not opening your mind up to the possibility that you could be wrong, we're never going to gain any ground from this, right? So I don't condone this action. I believe that this is a bad thing that's happened, and we need to be understanding that violence is never the answer. I understand that this is not a political thing, but I don't want it to become a political thing either. Apprentice, good to see you in the chat. Thank you very much for joining us.
Rob Reiner and wife had throats slit during heated argument with a family member as son Nick is quizzed by police. But we do have this from People. Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were killed by their son. And this is according to People. So I want to stress, we don't know everything just yet. This is early. This is preliminary reporting. So
okay, so again, like I'd mentioned before, I'm not completely sure if this is more accurate than what I've heard, but according to this, their son is quizzed. Their son is the prime suspect. Hey, Cool Vic, good to see you, man. Thank you very much for joining us. Pharmacat, thank you very much for joining us in the stream as well. So again, I don't know exactly what's happened quite as of yet. Other than the fact that this report says that their son was the one that did it. So again, it's not politically based, but we don't want it to become politically based. And there's some things in the underground that might end up becoming political. So I want to put my take in on it.
So let's break it down. But I do want to show you some of I think it's fairly obvious where we are politically. And this man was a notorious liberal activist. There's a lot to be said. The Sun reports director Rob Reiner and wife had throat slit during an argument with family member as son Nick is quizzed by police. They go into, let's close this one out. They say the couple's son Nick is reportedly a person of interest as cops investigate the suspected double murder. So we can see here we've got a heavy police presence seen outside their home. Reiner was 78. Michelle Singer Reiner was 68. And it looks like we have their son, 32, believed to be a person of interest. TMZ reported the pair's daughter told cops a family member should be a suspect because they're dangerous. The catalyst for the alleged argument is currently under investigation by LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division. The Oscar-nominated legend who directed iconic films such as Spinal Tap and When Harry Met Sally, and his wife reportedly suffered horrific lacerations consistent with knife wounds.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of us have probably been able to name at least a couple of these movies. When Harry Met Sally, I remember that one, and I remember The Princess Bride. Spinal Tap, I don't know if I watched that one. Some of the other ones I researched, I Googled to see what all he'd wrote, and some of them I'd watched, some of them I haven't, but the ones that I've watched are fairly well known or fairly well talked about. Again, this guy is a piece of culture, essentially, and so may not be as big of a person as Charlie was by any means, leaps, bounds, steps forward. Charlie was a good guy, and I miss him deeply, deeply. But it doesn't change the fact that no violence, there's no need for it anytime, right? Don't call it art. Thank you very much for joining us. Look up Spinal Tap up to 11. Spinal Tap up to 11. It's classic. I'll have to do that. I'll check it out. See what it's about. All right, so we'll get back into this.
Ah, man. And I can tell you, like, we make all of these references all the time, like turning it up to 11, which is it's a meme. It's a reference to going above and beyond, going one step over the line. And for those that don't know, it's from Spinal Tap, where dude's like, my guitar amp goes up to 11. And then I think it was Reiner actually. He's like, why not just have it go up? Why not just make 10 louder? And he goes, but this one goes up to 11. Classic.
See, I don't know if I've ever watched that again, like I said, but I'm pretty sure I've heard that reference. And now that I think about it, I don't know where I heard it, how many times I heard it. Wasn't very many. But again, the fact that I'd heard it means that it was somewhere in the history, in the culture, right? Why don't you make it 10 louder? Because it goes to 11, of course, right? Exactly, Wickmoto. You must have seen the show. I'll have to check it out, apparently.
Not that keen on the Spinal Tap sequel, considering they're all really old, and I don't know, it didn't work. People magazine said he was killed by his son. He and his wife were killed by their son. They say Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner, maybe we can make this a little bit bigger for you guys, not easily, were killed by their son. According to multiple sources who have spoken with family members, police have not yet confirmed the account. On Sunday, December 14th at about 3:30 p.m., the Los Angeles Fire Department was called to a home to provide medical aid. The LFD told people upon arrival they found a man 78 and a woman dead. Sources confirmed the victims were Rob and Michelle. Police say Nick, 32, is alive and being questioned. No arrests have been made. Rob is a director, producer, actor. We know all of this, okay? This is Spinal Tap. Stand by Me, Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, a few devastating loss for our city and country, Mayor Bass said over the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife. And of course, Caleb Hammer with the tweet. Very different responses to the death of people that some have disagreements with, and we can.
And see, that's the biggest thing is again, like I'd mentioned, maybe not as big of a character in the game as Charlie Kirk was, who can even touch that, but he's a piece of culture. He's a big activist on the other side, on the left, trying to fight against probably Caleb. I don't know where Caleb sits, but the point of the matter is you can see that the right is not out there. You know, we're having candlelight vigils and things like that for Charlie. We're not going out and persecuting people for this thing. There's a big difference in how the reaction is happening. Hey, MSM Liars, good to see you. Good to see you.
See this. This is, over on X. Per LAFD, sorry, the deceased individuals were Rob Reiner and his wife. And you can see the responses. You got Kentucky Girl saying, I disagree with so much he says, but this is awful. You've got Nick Sorter saying, I will never celebrate the death of a political foe. Actually, I am moved. I am very emotional and sad over the death of Rob Reiner. Certainly a staunch liberal activist.
Yeah. So again, like I said, violence is never the answer. Again, this is not a political thing like Charlie was, but he's a political figure similar to it. And the difference in sides is incredible. I'll jump forward a little bit because it's just talking about his life, and we all know most of his life, but we'll see how he reacted to Charlie's.
And funny stuff here. Let me play this clip from Piers Morgan, if I can.
When you first heard about the murder of Charlie Kirk, what was your immediate gut reaction to it?
Well, horror, absolute horror. And I unfortunately saw the video of it, and it's beyond belief what happened to him, and that should never happen to anybody. I don't care what your political beliefs are. That's not acceptable. That's not a solution to solving problems. And I felt like what his wife said at the service, that the memorial they had, was exactly right. And totally, I believe, I'm Jewish, but I believe in the teachings of Jesus, and I believe in doing to others, and I believe in forgiveness. And what she said to me was beautiful, and absolutely, she forgave his assassin. And I think that is admirable.
So again, he was a good guy. I mean, he didn't. he didn't come at us. He didn't come at the right. He didn't say that Charlie deserved it. Again, I feel for Rob. I feel for his family. It shouldn't have happened, right? So let's see. See what they say.
That is saying kind words of Erica Kirk.
You first.
And man, it's sad. You know, this wasn't a political killing, and I certainly disagree with the man, but this is what America is supposed to be like. It's supposed to be that we disagree.
Exactly. Like he's just about to say, we have to have some logical, understandable disagreements. To be able to say, I agree to disagree, like I'd mentioned, we've got to stop going further and further apart from each other. But the idea that we can disagree on some things needs to be what it's been pretty much all of history. Hey, his words of love. Good to see you. MSM Liars. I agree with Rob here. And that's just it, is I agree with Rob. Erica Kirk is doing the best that she can, given the situation that she's in. We shouldn't be holding anything against a widow above all else. And again, we all loved Charlie. Loved or hated, it's a very fine line, right? So even the people that loved him or hated him, they had strong emotions one way or the other.
Have to disagree. The disagreement is how we actually solve the problems. You know, if we all just agreed on everything, we'd all walk off a cliff like lemmings. Except Disney faked that, apparently. But you get the point. We'd all be jumping off bridges and just saying, like, look, everything, you know, we have to disagree. The question is, to what extent are we going to disagree? Are we going to disagree to the point where we're beating each other, where people are getting stabbed or shot, and it's getting this crazy? People have certainly lost their minds. And I believe the internet is largely responsible for it. People are isolating into deep bubble pockets in the far corners of the internet. They're believing insane things for insane reasons. People are making AI videos. We just had a shooting in Australia, and people are making AI photographs so it looks like it was staged. And then they're presenting it as it's very clever, actually. It's very clever. There's a photo of one of the victims.
So again, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that, but Second Amendment advocate. I strongly believe in my right to defend myself, and will defend that right for everyone to defend themselves as much as I possibly can. And on that subject, well, I'll just go ahead and let's see. Did they have anything more? All right. Well, I'll go ahead and jump back to this then, because Australia, after that Bondi incident, have decided to double down and have another gun buyback program.
Today, I'm also announcing that the government will establish a national gun buyback scheme to purchase surplus, newly banned and illegal firearms, the largest buyback since the Howard government initiated one in 1996. Australia's gun laws were last substantially reformed in the wake of the Port Arthur tragedy. The terrible events at Bondi show we need to get more guns off our streets.
Getting guns off your streets didn't work in 1996. So why do you think it's going to work now? You're just restricting the people that were honestly trying to help. There were multiple people in that incident that were trying to help. If they had been able to properly and fully defend themselves, like here in the United States, what would have possibly happened there? I saw multiple videos of people just sitting by and watching with their phone. That's probably would have happened in the United States too. But, you know, the point of the matter is the people that wanted to actually do something could have possibly had the opportunity. And now you're taking it more away from them. Come on, guys, across the seas, you've got to start fighting this. I'm here for you guys, but this is not okay for you.
The government will introduce legislation to support the funding of this buyback scheme and meet the costs on a 50-50 basis with states and territories. We expect hundreds of thousands of firearms will be collected and destroyed through this scheme.
So, pause. There we go. So, on that subject, there was another one of those magazine clips, the unintended consequences. I was trying to find it and I couldn't, of course. But it talks about how back in the day, I think it might have been in California or something, they did a gun buyback, a pew-pew buyback. I don't know what I can say. Anyway, they did a buyback and people were just coming in off the side of the road and buying the good pew-pews for more than the $250 that the state was offering. And then the people that had rusty, crappy things that weren't even a threat were going in and turning them in for $250. So we're now going to do again another buyback program. You really think that's going to be a beneficial thing? Let's see. MSM liars. Oh, good. This is how you get all the bad guys' guns. Yeah, exactly. Like they're all going to just turn them in. Criminals don't care about the laws. They don't care if you're going to buy them back or not. They're going to buy them from people themselves and utilize them themselves. Boating accident on the rise. Boating accidents is on the rise. Crazy coincidence. Yeah, Wikimoto. Yeah, mine. I lost mine a long time ago. I don't know what I'm talking about. Pumpkinhead, having no pew pew is only harming the people, not the criminal. Exactly. Again, criminals do not care about the laws. If a criminal cared about the laws, they wouldn't be out unaliving people. Come on, that's like the worst thing that you could do, right? Dingo ate my Ruger. Yeah. The dingo ate the Ruger. That's right. Calling it a buyback scheme is notorious. Yeah. Calling it a buyback scheme is notorious. They love to say that. And it doesn't do any good. I don't know why they do it. It just costs the taxpayer millions of dollars in doing this. Aussie free gun zone. Look how it worked out. That's just it. Exactly, Pumpkinhead. Australia is already a very restricted gun zone. Now, the guns that were used were legal in the restrictions that they have, but it doesn't change the fact that you were extremely restricted already, and there was still a fairly devastating attack that happened. And now you're going in furthering restricting the people that would want to help. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, again, Crambler. Also, isn't Australia already a gun-free country? Your no gun policy didn't help you here. Why are you continuing to go down that route? They always attribute the definition of crazy to do the same thing over and over and expect different results. That's not exactly the case, but it doesn't change the fact that it's well known to the point where that might as well be a definition of it. We got to stop going back to the same thing. If the restricting is not helping, maybe we should go a different route and start to allow people the ability, the rope to deal with themselves. Right? You know the term. Let's see. All right.
And they AI generated him getting makeup put on while he's laughing. And then they claimed, whoa, something like this isn't even AI, because they're intentionally trying to manipulate to sow chaos and discord. There is evil out there. Now it appears.
And that's another thing is the way that AI is advanced and the way that people are utilizing it to do deep fakes and things like that, it's really hard to decipher what is real and what is not now. If you can't decipher it still, then you're a little bit off the wagon or whatever you want to call it. I can pretty much spot AI because of the details of the certain characteristics of the video, but it is getting there. And like he's saying, some of these videos are really, really close. And if you just catch a second or two of it, it's really close. So we've got to be aware of the possibility that our eyes can be deceiving us as well.
Based on the reporting that Rob Reiner was killed by his son. This doesn't appear to be political. It appears to be another case of just...
All right. So it looks like he just kind of rambles on about it. Again, like I mentioned, violence is never the answer. This is not okay. We do not condone this. And the fact that we're not out there, you know, having riots and things like that to celebrate him passing, or even on TikTok celebrating it and laughing about it in the group chats and things like that. We're not doing that. There's a difference between the cases there. So let's take a look at let me see here. I have it somewhere. There it is. So if you haven't seen Trump's tweet, I think is what they still call him. I don't know. I've just been on X for maybe 6 months or so. I'm a potato. I stayed away from the online sphere until I rooted and said, enough is enough. I've had enough of this. Not letting you getting trampled on anymore. I'm standing up for you and myself as well. So here's what Trump put out. A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away, together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with the mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, also known as TDS. So that is a little concerning to me as the president of the United States. I am not condemning what he is saying here. But as we just watched in Tim's video, Rob did not condone the passing of Charlie Kirk. He wasn't a violent individual. To then turn around and smear his name as he passes, because this was on the 15th, is a little early. I don't know exactly how I want to word that, because I'm not condoning what he's saying. Is just the timing of it, right? We can have the best of intentions, but it doesn't always go the way we want it to go, right? This is a joke. This is satire on our president's half. And I can understand, but the timing of it. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness. And with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps never before, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace. I am glad he ended on rest in peace, because the middle of that was all about Trump. Now, again, I understand where he's coming from. I didn't know Rob Reiner in the sense of the political sphere. I don't know what he was doing in the political sphere as far as feeding into the Trump derangement syndrome. But we need to get away from derangement syndromes in general. To be, I mean, honestly, me calling you deranged, you calling me deranged, it's not getting us anywhere, right? Again, we need to find a common ground, a middle ground. So where I don't condemn him, I don't necessarily condone the timing of what he's saying, but I'm really tired of sitting back and letting us get walked on, getting us trampled on. Again, I am tired of just laying down. I'm here to stand up, stand my ground, voice my opinions for the middle ground. As the president of the United States, you can rise above. Whether the right does or not, that's a different story. Whether you're the president and you're on the left and the left does or not, that's a different story. But if we want to feed into good, we need to be good ourselves. So switching topics a little bit here, I'm going to be covering a debate between Rachel Wilson and Amanda Norman. Let me find that here real quick for us. All right. So she starts off, and I guess I'll bring you back to her. And it'll probably make me...
Rather than treating...
It's going to be right there. So you're going to have to listen to music, I guess. All right. All right, I'm just going to pause it, mute it while it comes up. Yes, his words of love. I agree with you. He should have been a little more respectful than that. I'm sorry, guys. If you disagree with me on that one, it is what it is. But we really need to start rising above it. Every single person. I think it's even Erica Kirk mentioned that in one of hers. That every single person should be rising above it. And she's doing her best to rise above it. I'm not condoning what Trump did. I'm not condemning it either.
Tonight we're debating whether or not feminism is...
All right, so this is the debate, whether feminism is more good or bad for society. He'll introduce the two people, and then we'll get into it.
Good or bad for society, and we are starting right now with Amanda's opening statement. Thanks for being with us. Amanda, the floor is all yours.
All right, so this is where she starts. These are our two contestants in the right corner. Anyway, so this is Rachel Wilson. She is standing for the men's rights, for everyone's rights, essentially. And then we've got Amanda, and she's standing for feminism. She brings out a slideshow at first, and we'll go quickly through that slideshow because this is her debate. This is all of her debate. The rest of the debate is just her reflecting back on her slideshow. So it's very important that we get the slideshow involved in it.
All right. Hello. Thank you, James. I am Amanda Norman. I will share my screen. And did anything happen? Looks like it did. Okay. So I'm Amanda Norman. I am a middle school teacher outside of Dallas.
So this is the biggest thing right here. Okay. Now I might just mute her because feminism isn't just better. It's wickedly better. Now, that being the forefront of our case should be a red flag for anyone watching this debate. Now, a little bit back history on her. She's MED, which means she's fairly educated. She has some back history in education, and she's a self-proclaimed debate coach. I don't know how much debate history she actually has. We'll get into that.
Theater speech.
So let me go ahead and actually jump forward here to, let's see. So this is about halfway through her slideshow. So if you want to watch the whole debate, I've dropped it in the link below. It's about a 3.5 hour long debate. So we're not going to cover the entire thing, but I want to get to some points that really, really egregiously stand out to me. So first off, she starts out with her little slideshow talking about how feminism is better for society and mentions that back in, what is this, 1910, it looks like, there was an insurrection of sorts by women that were fighting for the right to feminism, the right to vote, those kind of things. Now, where I don't condone, again, violence of any sort, if they were being violent to begin with, they were not in the right. Does not matter how they went about doing it or what they got. There we go. What they got in the end, it's about how they went about doing it. In this case especially, they cannot break into government buildings. Either side, guys. So I'm not condoning anything that either side is doing. But she goes on to talk about how this is a big thing for them and a good thing for them to have done. Furthermore, let's see. So there's a part in this that really stands out above the rest. And of course, it's going to make me go through an ad. So healthier relationships. And then this is where it really gets hit home. So I'm kind of in the way here. So let me move my screen. So equality, fairness, data-informed policy. I want you to keep that in mind. We'll slow down the time or the speed here, and we'll go back into it. Oh, come on. Okay. So right about here.
I do not really like to speak for other people, but things I have noticed amongst people who declare themselves to be anti-feminists are reacting to misinformation. Feminism is often portrayed as man-hating or extreme, which we have established is actually misandry, not feminism, when in reality it advocates for fairness.
As far as I'm concerned, feminism begets misandry. I said it because honestly, if it wasn't for feminism, there wouldn't have ever been this idea that women can be better than men. I'm not saying that men can be better than women, but it just boils back down to the fact that might is. Might makes. Might is what makes your rights. Without might, without the ability to defend ourselves, without the ability to control the situation, you don't control the situation. So without the feminist idea, I don't see misandry ever being a possibility. And this idea that toxic masculinity, femininity and masculinity can both be good or bad in its own right. Just plain and simple. So this idea that feminism isn't what causes misandry is possibly a misnomer.
Yes, evidence-based policy and human.
There it is. There it is. Sorry, guys. Almost missed it.
Everyone in the society benefits. Countries with higher gender equality experience stronger economic growth. Anti-feminists are reacting to misinformation. Feminism is often portrayed as man-hating or extreme, which we have established is actually misandry, not feminism, when in reality it advocates for fairness, evidence-based policy, and human.
Evidence-based policy. Please take that, mental note it, write it down, whatever you have to do, because that is going to come into play later on in the video. Equality, fairness, data-informed policy is what we have to go off of. Yes. So we'll go ahead and jump forward a little bit through this starting thing and get into the actual talking. Rachel then gives her intro and kind of starts to demolish Amanda's position. The thing is again, like I mentioned, Amanda took this slideshow, threw it up, and thought, that's it. That is all that it takes to win this debate. And because Rachel doesn't immediately fold and concede, then she gets upset, and we'll get into that.
So I do appreciate Amanda coming with a well thought out presentation, and she clearly has actually stopped to think about these things, which is more than I can say for a lot of my opponents on this subject usually. So I do appreciate that. However, everything that was in those slides are things I have seen and heard before. They are the very things that made me feel like I needed to write a book and several other pieces in order to kind of refute, because feminism, the whole idea behind feminism, relies on framing. I say this all the time because they'll say things like fairness, equality, opportunity, dignity. However, these are things that are core tenets of liberalism as a whole. The revolutionary ethos of the French and American revolutions was liberty, equality, fraternity, right? So feminism came as a political movement from this, with Mary Wollstonecraft and her vindication of the rights of women, talking about this very thing. It was basically everything Amanda just said, which is, you need to be fair and give us equality. But when we dig into what that means, it relies on a bunch of presuppositions that I do not accept. For instance, you said that feminism does not deny biology. How do you feel about the transgender movement? Do you support that in general, or are you against that? Or in other words, are you a trans exclusionary feminist, or are you a trans inclusive feminist?
Are you asking?
Yeah, is it okay if I ask questions in my opening, James? Or
I'm
would you
cool with
rather
that. If you want, that's works for me.
Yeah.
As far as the trans question, I'm very conflicted about that. We can look at historical context and see third and fourth, however many genders all throughout society. I feel like I'm just going to go ahead and say I do not support gender affirming care for minors. I'm an educator, so protecting children is very important to me. Trans women competing against biological women in sports is an absolute no for me. But at the end of the day, I kind of feel like if an adult biological male wants to live his life as a female and can pass that way, whatever fits. But I do feel like the way the trans movement is working, it's actually working against them, because I do see a lot of trans people saying, we want fairness, we want equality, we want you to listen to us, but they don't seem to understand the opposition and present it in a way the opposition will actually engage in.
Yeah,
so
right.
I have some serious criticisms of the trans movement as far as trans people in general.
When we talk about homosexuality, that they're just born that way.
So I might have skipped over it, I guess, but she does not believe in choice. She believes that we are born to be what we're going to be, but then turns around and does not agree with certain ideology that would basically go hand in hand with that. It's quite the contradiction that she gets into here.
So clearly you don't actually believe in blank slate theory, or do you? Like, which is it? Are you determinist that if you're born a woman, you're going to act like a woman and be like a woman, and that there's something essential biologically about femaleness? Or is that a costume that I can put on if I truly feel that on the inside I'm a man? Or I'm a woman. I was born male, but I feel like I'm a woman on the inside.
Again, this is something that is incredibly complex. And when I say society, when I say society, I didn't use the word conditioned, but I'm talking about societal norms, people wanting to fit in, people having that shame instilled in them that, these 11, 12-year-old boys I teach, it's not okay to cry. You go to the bathroom and cry. You don't want to cry in front of your friends. You want to look tough. That's societally ingrained in them. Whereas, maybe their instinct is to be more emotional and seek help.
That kind of dances around my question, because you can't really have it both ways. You can't say homosexuals are born that way. I'm a biological determinist. I don't believe in free will.
I didn't say,
and see, that's just it. I didn't say that. Oh, well, yeah, I guess I did. By saying that you don't have a choice in the way you live your life, you're saying that you don't believe that they have a choice in whether they transition or not, whether they want to, whether they need to. You're saying that it should have been the way that they were from birth, which is the way it is. So she is contradicting herself already, and we're only 19 minutes into the debate, and we're not really into the debate. We're into the intro, the opening statement. Rachel is just trying to get to the bottom of what forms her ideology, because you can't say I'm this way and this way. It's a fallacy. You can't be two things at once. It's either A or B.
Yeah, you did. And then say at the same time that boys would cry in front of everyone and they wouldn't act like boys, except that we condition them to be that maleness or manliness wouldn't exist except for social conditioning. Because
I didn't say that. I said that there's shame from society, certain societies, the one I live in kind of suburban Texas. Yeah, it emphasizes manliness. whether
Sure.
that
Well,
person
here's the
truly
thing,
is manly or not.
we might be able to find common ground here. So when I'm sure you've probably heard trans activists say that we can tell that transgenderism has a biological root to it, that it's, you know, something you're born this way, because when we do brain scans, we can see differences, right? If we look at a trans man's brain scan, it looks more like a woman's brain. You know, the male to female transgender people, their brain scans, when we do them, look more female. Do you think that that science is probably valid?
I haven't looked into it. I don't talk about trans stuff a lot. I don't have very strong feelings about that.
That's a fairly large, I mean, I understand that the feminist movement is not behind the men in women's bathrooms, the women in men's bathrooms, but they are very much, or at least it seems like to me, that they're very much behind the transitioning from one to the other, the empowerment that it gives them, when it turns out that there's no empowerment, because in reality, all you're doing is, when you look at it, the major sports that are actually getting other genders transitioning into be a sports player there, it's men to women. I don't see many women to men going into sports of a high caliber, physical sport. You see a lot of men that can't make it themselves go and become a female so that they can become something or other. It doesn't work like that.
Okay. Well, if we're going to talk about, you know, feminism, I feel like you probably should look into that, because if we're going to be granting rights based on gender, then you believe in gender, and I don't believe in gender. I only believe in biological sex. So
I said in my opening that I was going to use them interchangeably. So I didn't say that. I'm going to use them interchangeably. They're the same thing for the purposes of this debate.
Okay.
They are the same thing, yes. Not just for the purpose of this debate, but the fact that you have to clarify it that way shows us that you don't completely agree with that. So you're already contradicting your own stance by saying that. You have to be able to say, I believe this, and with this comes this, and this. So, for example, because the feminist movement is so behind the trans movement, if you're going to be defending feminism, you're essentially defending that movement as well. You can't take the position that I'm going to have my cake and I'm going to eat it too and still have it afterwards. Right? That saying has never really made sense to me. I'm going to have my cake and then I'm going to eat it. So that, yeah, I get to have it and then I get to eat it too. But having it after you've ate it, that's where it comes down to. You can't do that. It's not how it works.
Hey, well, this is very inconsistent. You're kind of trying to wiggle out of it, and I see why you are. Because if transgender brain scans are real, then also, you said there's no differences really biologically and cognitively between male brains and female brains. And it was actually an argument of first wave feminists that there aren't any differences between male and female brains.
So again, like I said, you've got to be able to take the stance of the stance. And she's not. She's picking and choosing. It's this buffet style, right? You can't have your cake and be able to eat it and have it still. It doesn't work like that. Hey, TVT, good to see you, buddy. Good. I'm glad to have you in.
Yet the people who argue that a man can be born in the wrong body or a woman can be born in the wrong body are using brain scans as evidence that yes, you can be born in the wrong body because their brain scans are different. So you might have to take that up with the transgender movement and figure out where you fall there, because you can't really say we're going to grant rights based on gender and then say, I don't really believe in gender. I'm a biological.
No, I said we're not going to limit rights based on gender. Well, I actually didn't say that at all. We've jumped around from feminism to trans, and we went to homosexuality. Now we're back on trans.
Well, that's because from your view, if you're a biological determinist and you don't believe in free will, then how can the behaviors of men and women be based on social conditioning? How can we condition biological determinism out of people and socially condition their will if free will doesn't exist? I'm trying to gauge your worldview
when I
here.
say free will doesn't exist, I mean it's an illusion, meaning.
Do you believe that free will doesn't exist? Because I sure do. as a potato speaking on a live stream, talking to you, doing whatever I want to, I would say that free will is very much a thing that exists in reality. Now, I understand that you can't point to it and say that's a thing, but it is a thing. We all know it. We all can see it. So for her to say it's an illusion shows you just how out of grasp with reality this debate coach. And again, I will reiterate the fact that this person is a debate coach. She is teaching others how to debate. Now, I must have skipped over it because I don't remember hearing it in this time, but she is a drama coach and debate coach. So we're talking about somebody that is literally thinking outside of the reality to be able to give you the best drama experience that you can have, but is then a debate coach thinking on a reality on logical levels to try to put her point across. Hey, Crucible Crusader, it's good to have you in, buddy. Good welcome in. All right, we'll get back into this.
That maybe we're not, I mean, it's okay.
Mojo, good to see you. You hopped in just as I said, hey, good to have everybody. Man, I really appreciate the support that I get from everybody. The Cool Verse, RSTV, the Legends, all of you. Thank you so much for being around. And if you haven't seen Rattlesnake TV, go check them out. Definitely go check them out. This isn't something I'm covering right now, but definitely check them out. The Crucible, awesome place to go. Definitely check them out too. Rachel Wilson, Andrew Wilson, good people. Whether people like to admit it or not, they're good people. So thank you very much for your support.
So let me ask you something. So this may seem a little bit isolated, but if P entails Q and Q is determined.
Why are we starting with a hypothetical? So this is one of my biggest, I wouldn't say issues with the debate because it happens, but they rabbit trail badly in this debate, and they don't really, and it's Amanda, she constantly obfuscates, constantly filibusters, constantly interrupts, constantly tries to deflect from the fact that she's given her side. That slideshow was all that she has, and she has nothing more to get back to, so she just keeps trying to reiterate the same points. It's good because it's good. That's all she can say. My feelings, my preferences.
Determined. Is P determined?
If that were the case, you could say that, but I don't.
If we're talking about a hypothetical, and what's really funny is the whole, I won't necessarily try to find that because that's not one of the time stamps that I put down, but she mentions that they ask her in the super chats at the end, they ask her we all know the question that's coming up, right? If you hadn't had breakfast, how would you feel? And she says, I didn't have breakfast. This as a debate coach, as someone who is literally telling a hypothetical, putting a hypothetical toward Rachel like it's going to be an end-all be-all, game changer, end, the conversation kind of a thing. And yet, is it? No, because it's a hypothetical, and it's not even a really good hypothetical. Yeah, Crusader, exactly. Fail.
Don't believe in biological determinism whatsoever. So I'm not sure. You're saying if Q was an entailment of P and Q is biologically determined, that P would also have to be biologically determined?
Yeah, if Q is inside of P, yes.
Let's grant that. What would that mean for our argument here?
This digital calendar
What was the point of that? What did it get you?
lightening my mental load makes it worth every penny. I wasn't fully convinced the Skylight calendar.
Okay, so
Okay, let me try to retrack here. Let me get a different hypothetical that might be the end all be all. I mean, really? just concede. I mean, we're only 23 minutes into this debate.
I am arguing that feminism is better for society. I'm not arguing about trans or anything.
Sure.
I've made it very clear I'm not going to talk about that because it has nothing to do. I didn't prep for it. That's not what this debate is about.
Again, a debate coach not being able to say, okay, I didn't prepare for this, so let me figure out a way that I can utilize this and say, okay, I didn't prepare, but I'm going to word it just the way that it needs to be worded. As a debate coach, as someone that studied rhetoric, if you haven't studied rhetoric, you can't possibly be a debate coach. So you have to be able to use rhetoric to your ability and say, that's not quite the way it works because such and such. I can't even think of what they were just talking about, of course, because, you know. So Pumpkinhead, Brave, I'm guessing it's a server or a internet provider. Wow, I'm stumbling today. So I've never heard of it. I guess I might have to look into it. Is it ad free or what's the deal there? All right.
So can we please just get back onto feminism?
Sure. Then if we want to talk about feminism, let's talk about the fact that when you brought up the map of women's rights and you pointed.
Web browser. Thanks for the, thanks for that. I don't know why I was not pulling that off the top of my head there. What I use and avoid ads. Oh, okay. Interesting. I'll have to remember that because I have the family plan of YouTube Premium or whatever, and it still makes me have ads. They're just like 15-minute or 15-second ads or whatever instead of the 30-second, 45 seconds. But yeah, it's still ads and it's still obnoxious. So maybe I'll have to check that out. Sorry.
It out to me, Rachel. Look at the red areas. I'm sure that you're noticing something about the red areas. And I did. The red areas are not Christian and they don't have a lot of technology. And if they do, they're more Muslim or more, Islam is not a system that I defend. It's a system I argue against. So I would argue that when you ended your slides there saying, the problem is that on a global scale, we haven't reached equality yet. You're talking about benefits to society that you think came from feminism, when mostly those benefits came from technology. So when you're talking about things like my GDP, my productivity, my first world living conditions, those are a result of the technological revolution, not of social engineering.
Well, with that comes social engineering, with technology advancing.
I love how so basically what Rachel is getting at here is without the ability to be comfortable in an office space, to be comfortable with being able to lift things, and that comes with technology. Without the ability to put that together, which is might, regardless of what you might think or say or feel, it doesn't change the fact that a man is going to be able to automatically pick up more, lift more, sustain more injuries, to be able to handle the weather better. As a construction worker, I'm here to tell you, I've been in the weather, and women don't like it. Whether they can do it or not, it doesn't change the fact that I don't even know if I like it per se, but I do it because I'm a man and that's what my role is. I accept it. Most men accept their role. We understand where we stand. It's the women that are sitting here going, I want to be able to be a boss babe, and ruin everybody else's chance of being a mother. Because if you all have to go into the workforce, you all have to go into the workforce. You don't have a choice whether you stay home or not. Before this idea that everyone had to be in the workforce, it was simple that you chose to go out and do what you needed to do. There's certain roles that I still agree that women should be the main providers of those roles. Nursing, for example, I don't want to be a nurse. The hello nurse from back in the day of what was it, Animaniacs, I think it was, right? That it was a cat call. Why would we want to be that, right? So I'm not condoning cat calling, even though women seem to want to go back to that now. I don't know what that's about, but it doesn't change the fact that a good portion of women want to be able to stay home. A good portion of men want to be able to allow their women to stay home, myself very much included. I had a home with a mother. She was home for me all the time, and it was beneficial. My dad worked 2 or 3 jobs to be able to keep the food on the table, and that is, I have a lot of respect for my father, but that's sad that we have to do that. And by adding in another quarter of the workforce, adding in women, yes, I understand that not all women are out in the workforce. It's about, I don't know, maybe 60%-ish of women are in the work area. So there are still some women that are able to be home mothers or whatever, but we're going further away from that. The further higher that inflation goes, the higher that the GDP has to be, the more women have to get out in the workforce. Let's see. Wickmoto, waffle head framing hammer on your thumbnail on a free. Ouch! What the goodness? Yeah, the waffle head framing hammer, even worse. I mean, I've done some flatheads hammer on my finger, and it doesn't feel good. The waffle, ouch. Pumpkinhead, they want catcalling because men are not even bothering with women these days, and then they hate that there's no attention. That's the thing, is men and women are very different with how we flirt. Women have to have that attention. They go out, they post on Instagram, they get those likes, they get those, and that gives them dopamine. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand the feeling. That's why I know what they're going through, but it doesn't change the fact that women get their flirtation through that kind of idea, where men have to go out and work for it. So yes, we have to go out and catcall you. All you have to do is get catcalled. So we need to get back to that kind of idea. Again, I'm not condoning sexualization or objectification. That's stupid term ever to begin with. You're not an object. Stop making yourself out to be one. Yourself out to be one. We don't make you out to be objects by catcalling you. You're proving that yourselves now by saying you want it. Or you're wanting to be objects or something. I don't know, maybe. Don't call it art. One time I had surgery, an attractive nurse had me verify why I was there, and embarrassingly, I had a slip of the tongue. I said, had an abdominal horn. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I always worry about going to the hospital with an attractive nurse, man. I'm not gonna lie. I know that they're all professionals, but man, it's something when they're like, yeah, pull down your, and I don't know. I'm getting better about it. They did it to themselves, though, with all of this girl boss and you don't need no man, yet they call upon one to fix everything. Yeah, Pumpkinhead, that's just it. As a man in I own a construction company, so I am very busy with helping people fix things, and I deal with a lot of women. I'm not saying that they can't do it themselves. I'm just saying they don't want to. Don't call it art. Women like when men are bold, but it still has to have the right tone. And that's the thing women like to be ooga booga bunked on the head and taken back to the cave. I can't really describe it any other way, because they need that. They crave that dominance. They crave that ability to protect them, to provide for them, to be able to, in a fight, make sure that they come out on top. And if they don't, a lot of the time the women lose attraction for them. Anyway, I'll get back into the debate. Sorry, guys.
Comes new knowledge and new ways to view the world.
Well, no, what it
50
does.
years ago, Okay.
That's not true. What it does, what the Industrial Revolution and the Technological Revolution did, was create an illusion that men and women can be equal. There's a reason feminism did not come about until the Industrial Revolution, because there were not, if you watch, I know you were there, so if you saw my debate with Craig and he's talking about, well, we have tools now, we have tools, so women can do all the man stuff because there's tools. It's like, yeah, buddy, that's exactly my point. Prior to technology and the Industrial Revolution, there was no such concept that women and men were equal, could do the same things, should do the same things. There was no desire for that. And if you want to argue that society is better with feminism, show me a benefit of feminism to society that is not reliant on technology.
And that bingo right there. Without the ability, again, that might, right, to put those things together and work out the technology, yes, women have their part to play in some of the things that have come to light in the technology field, but could men have done it without the women being in it? I'm not saying they couldn't. I'm not saying they can, but the fact of the matter is as soon as they became part of it, it forces that idea and that GDP and that inflation. We spend what we make. A lot of people, I'm not saying we, I shouldn't say that. I do, unfortunately. I live paycheck to paycheck like a lot of Americans do. But we have to be aware of that, right? Yeah, TVT, I don't want a female doctor looking at me. And that's just it. I've heard a lot of things about, female nurses and the promiscuity and the weirdness that happens with that. When it comes down to it, it seems like a lot of the time that when women have the force monopoly, when they have the ability to have the force, the might, they take advantage of it. That's human nature. We just need to get back to understanding each other, right? TVT, thank you very much for that. Hit the like if you haven't already. Please subscribe, share me out. Share that starch with everybody that you know, right? I'm always about trying to get to new people, that younger generation. We need to get them on the same understanding that are we literally just debating or debunking feminism here? Because we're talking to a debate coach, should have it worked out seamlessly, and she's struggling. And we're only 25 minutes into the debate, guys. Oh, goodness. There's always going to be the same thing women can't and won't do with what Rachel said. It brainwashed women thinking they can do what a man can do. Yeah, Pumpkinhead, that's just it. Is how feminism has affected reality, affected policy, is by making women think that they can be men. I don't see that being a good thing. That's not equality. That's different. That's superiority, essentially, at that point in time. Because if you think you can do everything a man can do, and then some, because we can't have kids. We can't produce the birth, right? We are the ones who produce the life, regardless of what you like to admit. We're the ones who produce the life. So we need to start to get back to an understanding, an agreement. See. With his words of love, I do not like, you don't like female doctors either. They don't listen, which isn't surprising. Oh, okay. That's fair. I don't really deal with female doctors. I think I had one when I was younger, and I didn't like, she was nice. She was older. So it was okay. It was like my grandma. I don't know. It was weird. It's still weird to think about it, but yeah, they especially with the guy, I don't see them listening to us as easily. TVT, I would rather a male doctor because he's a male and he knows the male body. That again, that's the thing, is if it's a female on a female, that's one thing. They know the female anatomy. But if a female is even saying that, I am struggling. I am always struggling to read his words of love. I mean, come on, I'm a potato. Give me a break. I'm excited today. I don't know why. I'm really glad to be able to continue to do this with you guys. It's one of the favorite things of my week.
That isn't just a product of better technology.
I would say they go hand in hand.
Yeah, we have better educational outcomes, but that's not due to feminism. That's due to technology. There's more people.
Feminism arose because of the technology and the new worldview it provided.
She just admitted it. Feminism arose because of technology. If it was because of technology, without technology, could it have even been a thing? If it's not a political hold and political ideology, it's not doing anything for society, good or bad for that matter. So if it's not an action, an actual political ideology, it doesn't matter. So it is a political ideology, and she just admitted that it has to be technology. If we didn't have the ability to build the buildings, if we didn't have the ability to make plumbing, to make air conditioning, those kind of things, we couldn't have the industrious factories that we do. You couldn't, women would, they complain with air conditioned office spaces that they're too cold. I have dealt with this myself in the many jobs that I've been in. Women cannot handle the same things that men can handle when it comes to heat, cold, the weather, those kind of things.
It wasn't the worldview that did the improving of people's lives. It was the technology. Technology increases education. Technology increases medical care. It reduces infant mortality. It reduces maternal mortality. There's one really good example where I can prove this. In the United States, we have rising maternal mortality for the first time since we discovered germ theory. Do you know why that is?
I looked into it, but can't remember, honestly. I think it had something to do with, like, I don't know.
It's
older women. It's older women having babies. That's what it was.
And that's just it. So that ties, and that's what Rachel's getting at. I don't know if Amanda even picked up on that, or if Rachel's just speaking to us as the audience, as I know that we're supposed to, and that's why I try to speak to you guys. But she's basically saying that you can't have feminism without technology. And like she just admits, you can't.
Due to advanced maternal age. So when we just...
And then with the maternal age, that's what I was getting at. So that's what feminism brought that on. The idea that you don't have to be a mother at your prime, at your ability to have that child and be able to fully raise them, be able to fully run them down when they get rambunctious, those kind of things, right? Those are all very important. And as older we get into the advanced age in concerns with maternity. We get advanced age with concern about being able to raise them properly, those kind of things, right? So we'll see, maybe
discovered germ theory because of technology, and we were able to...
Well, it was actually because of a lazy scientist, but yeah.
That's what it was. So she's claiming that it was a lazy scientist. It was still a scientist. It was still in a lab. It doesn't matter how that ended up happening. It was still because of science. So you can argue how that science came to be is still technology. Science is technology. Feminism is not technology. And she tries to claim that at some point in time too, that feminism is a technology. Did you know that? Because I sure didn't. All right, so let's see. I think we're going to go ahead and jump forward here so we can get through it, because we're getting close to maybe the end of my day already. So into the debate a little bit.
I do.
And yeah, there were some men who were also persecuted in this way. But
can I show you the slide that says that men benefit from feminism too?
They don't, though. How do men benefit from feminism when they... Let's look at the state
because they
of
can be more honest.
Court. Do you think that men benefit from feminism in the family court system?
So this is where Rachel starts to debunk the idea that feminism is good for both men and women, as she claims in her opening slideshow, whatever she wants to call it. But she claims that, yeah, she's already starting to retract your statements, essentially.
I'm not sure where you're going with this.
Has feminism given men equal parenting rights?
Well, it gives
It does it? Oh, really? I don't know of any movement personally, and I could be a potato here, but I don't know of any movement personally that is trying to get men the right to have equal rights. That being, whether that be because you have the right to submersions, that we have the ability to financially abandon. I'm not agreeing with that. I just think we should stop submersions. But if we're going to go into that route, then she should be behind the 50-50 parenting. The fact that men shouldn't have to pay anything if they're all having the kids half the time. If the women have half the time, the men have half the time, then there shouldn't be any exchange of money other than where the kid, well, if it's 50-50, then they're spending as much time in the one home as in the other home. So where is that movement in feminism? How is that better for men?
The way family court works is it takes the one who's worse and limits the time with the children. Oftentimes that is a female. So now
Exactly. TVT, my church is being persecuted right now by other Baptist church for not allowing women as leaders. It says it straight in the Bible. I don't understand. I'm trying to take the secular route, a lot like Andrew Wilson. I'm a Christian. I'm outspoken Christian. I want Christians to be more outspoken, I guess, is what I want to be. But if it states in the Bible, how can we interpret it differently when it straight out says they should be silent in church? They should not be teaching, because there's too much ability for propagandization with women. They propagandize way too easily. Apprentice, men could always be honest. They just weren't emotional and weak in front of women to validate the idea that we are the same. We were always able to bro it out with the bros. Yeah, men can always be honest. If we see something wrong with our brothers, we call it out. It doesn't seem to be the same way with women. It always seems to be the sisterhood and the brotherhood. And it's funny because I actually watched a video the other day of someone dogging on the brotherhood because we always stand up for each other, which is funny because I almost always look around to see if I have any support, where I'm talking to a one woman and then out of the blue, a group of women come in and it's the sisterhood attacking me. Right. So I don't see how that's comparable. Yeah, men should have to legally consent to the submersion. If nothing else, I fully agree with that one. If the father doesn't consent, the woman should be charged with something, with murder, with theft, with something, because that was mine too. And I hate to say it like that because I'm not saying a child is a product or a possession, but that's what coverture laws stated. And that she'll get into that later and she tries to smear it. But coverture laws gave us the straight contract essentially to be the providers. We were the ones who were supposed to take care of the child and even the woman. A lot of the time, it's not like men were out there just divorcing their wives and just leaving them to nothing. Yeah, I'm not saying there weren't the outliers. I agree fully. But the majority of men to this day are not the ones out there flitting around. We try. Yes, TBT, it is clearly stated in the scripture. I agree with you fully, 100%. In his words of love, 60 million children, 1 out of 3 is absolutely ridiculous. Unacceptable. And I'm tired of it.
That's actually not true. So if you go to my Substack and read the article I wrote.
Your Substack.
Well, you're not a very good debate coach. Okay, so again, you won't even do your due diligence to do the research to make sure that you're talking properly. And now when you're given the opportunity to go to a specific site, now I understand if I were to be told to go somewhere, I'd probably go there because I'm trying in good faith to understand the world and how it works. But it doesn't matter. So if you don't want to go there, that's fine. I understand not going to your opposition's site, but you're in a debate. Now this is almost an epitome of what sophistry, I think is pronounced or called, a debate that's just strictly off of fallacies. Amanda tries to claim that Rachel is doing fallacies, is fallacious in her argumentation. Every single thing that Rachel has said up to this point has been backed by facts. Everything that as Amanda has said has been feelings, or speculations, or I read it in the Magna Carta that back in the Middle Ages, women couldn't have jobs, and so that was unbeneficial. Middle Ages, again, if you guys haven't seen this debate, go check it out, the whole 3 hours, because as a debate coach, I cannot stress this enough, that this should have been second nature. Half of the things that she's being asked should have been already automatically built into her case. I'm so confused by this particular debate. TVT, what happened, man? My kid's mom just chose. Oh man, TVT, dude. Anything that I can do, man. I know that, Jesus, my heart goes out to you, bud. Better off without her, I guess. I hate to say it like that. Like, I'm all for working it out till the bitter end, but it sounds like that was the bitter end. I was in an 8-year relationship. I tried to work it out to the bitter end. I don't know, I don't know why people don't try more, I guess. Oh, years ago, that's fair. Still, like, years ago, I lost the one, the 8 years, and still, as much as I hate to admit it, there's still some pull on my heartstring when she calls or when she texts or whatever, and she tries to rub that into my face every once in a while. Of course, I don't let her, but yeah, man, everything hits us. It is what it is, right? But back to the debate, feminism is an ideology, and she tries to equate it to being equality. She says that if you're okay with equality, you should be okay with feminism. No, I'm okay with equality. Feminism is not equality. I'm sorry, but no matter how you want to look at it, it is not equality, because it does not equal out for men as much as it equals out for women. Go ahead and get back into this so we can maybe try to get through it.
You should, because you'd learn a lot. You could go there and read my article, 45 Years of Data Proving That Men Are Not the Threat. Men are not the threat. It's women who are the threat. Women who live with an
Well, and here she goes again. So again, a debate coach. This is nothing but emotion right here. The way she moves in her seat, the way she just acted, that whole body language is, I know better than you, and I'm going to school you because I knew what you were going to say, so I'm better than you. That's essentially what she's getting across, whether she realizes it or not. And she's directly speaking to Rachel. She's not speaking to the crowd like Rachel is, like you have to do in a debate. I'm not going to be debating the person across from me. Yes, I will be debating with them, but I'm not debating them. I'm debating their ideology. I want to be able to take it the best way that I can, right? Let that roll off my back, because in a debate, you're going to get emotional. You're going to see those things that don't work, right? She's seeing things that just don't work. And the cognitive dissonance is setting in hard. And she, at some point in time, she even says, I don't think I'm wrong. I'm okay with being wrong, but I don't think no, you're not. You're not okay with being wrong if you can't accept it and say, you know what, that's actually a good point. Fair. You know, I will go ahead and concede on that. I don't know. There's many things that she could have done to save face, and instead she got emotional and just started to make it seem like she knows everything that's Rachel's going to say before she says it. Like that's something. Like that's going to do something for her.
Married partner that abuses the child in their relationship. Heard it all, Rachel, and I still disagree with it.
Is that wrong? Is it wrong? No, it's not.
No, she just admitted it's not wrong. So she's admitting it, but she's not conceding on it. Multiple times does this happen through this debate, and I want to try to get through all of it, but at the same time, it's so frustrating because this is a debate coach. This is someone that is teaching the next generation on how to think logically, to put their ideology on paper, to be able to say this is how it works because this is how it works well, right? I can tell you that a functional mother, father, biologically together, biologically being they married each other and had a child, nothing else, no cousin marriage, but the idea that they can be together is our best ideal situation. We've got to get away from the idea that it's a split home in any way, shape, or form.
Wrong.
It's okay,
no, it's not
Rachel,
wrong. You
but
just don't like it. You just don't. No, you listen. You listen.
No,
because
Rachel.
what feminism has done is it has exposed women to more violence, not less. Women living with
all she's doing, again, emotion, wrong. She doesn't say you're wrong because of this. She doesn't try to interject with actual facts or statistics. She just says, you're wrong. I feel that you're wrong. Like, I don't understand how you can think that you can get away with just saying you're wrong. Rachel's going, she's cooking. I mean, everything, again, she's backed up with everything with facts. There's been a couple of rabbit trails that she's maybe allowed to go off on. I'm trying to be objective and middle ground here, but I don't see many things that Rachel's doing that could be a fallacy, that could be a straw man. She's very, very blatantly putting it into facts, how it's been throughout the years.
cohabitative partners and with other women have the highest rates of abuse. The safest place for women is in a marriage with the biological father of their children. That male is the least likely to
is least likely to be reported, Rachel. You had the same debate.
That's a fallacy. That's a straw man. I will admit, we cannot know all instances of occurrences where instances and occurrences, she mentions at one point in time, instances are reported, occurrences just happen. But if there are like this year, there's a certain level of incidences that have been reported, and this year there's more incidences reported. The next year there's more. You can see a trend. You can start to see things wave and change and show you how things are going, because not all people are going to be willing to admit or show or speak out. But as people speak out, more people speak out. So if more people are speaking out, then it creates more. That gives you that trend. That shows you that movement, right?
Yeah. Well,
yeah, Rachel, I'm not going to have this debate with you again.
Show me where I'm wrong.
Because we're just talking past each other right now.
We're not.
You're not past each other. See, this was the other thing, is she claims that Rachel was talking past Craig in the debate that she had with him at DebateCon, where she was saying that, you know, without tools, you wouldn't be able to live. And he tries to say that all men would die if it wasn't for their wives. I'm sorry, I'm 40 and I don't have a wife and I'm still alive and I'm kicking. Maybe not great, but I'm still kicking. The point of the matter is men don't need women. I'm not saying women need men to survive when it comes down to it. Kind of do. But it boils down to the fact that we need each other. We need to find some common ground again. And equality is not feminism. Feminism is what is shoving us down our throats that men are pigs, that the patriarchy is the piece of garbage or something like that. When in reality, the patriarchy is just from the father. That's all it means. It means that God gave us the life that we have. It was from our father. That's the patriarchy. That is the only patriarchy. And she tries to say that there's two patriarchies. And that's the thing is, if everything is always evolving, always changing, how do we ever know anything is anything at all?
To contend with this, how is feminism helping women? How? What
because
is it doing?
Gives us the choice of no fault divorce. If you don't like your husband and you're miserable, you can leave.
That was beneficial. The ability to just cut out on a contract for any reason is beneficial. So you're telling me that I can go and start buying up houses and cars and start to change my contract, and that's okay? In her logic, that's okay. How does that make sense? Goodness gracious. She never shuts up, never shuts up. Seriously, she doesn't give Rachel any opportunity to just actually prove anything. She just constantly interjects with my feelings, my preferences. That's not right. I'm right. You're wrong. And doesn't give any facts. She really thought that that slideshow was going to be the end all be all. She didn't have to worry about anything else. That would prove her case. And that the rest of it, she could just sit there and laugh and gloat. I don't know. We'd be more lonely, but we would probably be less stressed out. And that's just it is I'm lonely. I'm lonely, sure. But now that I'm online, I have you guys. I don't need it. I haven't had it for too long. I don't care. That's the thing, is I'm not an incel because it's not like I'm trying for it. I don't care anymore. You did it, women. Good job. You made the good men not freaking care anymore. That's what happened with feminism. That's the good that you've done. And I know that there's going to be a lot of women that see this and go, yeah, that's awesome. Until you're 40 and your cats and you don't have any ability to have a kid and you're starting to freeze your eggs or whatever the case is, and you try so hard and you can't. It's time that women start to understand you're not getting us by the way that you're being.
Gives us the opportunity to be seen intellectually for what we are and to go be a CEO of a corporation if we want to be. It gives us the opportunity to go get a PhD. That didn't happen in the Middle Ages. And
there it is, the Middle Ages. Was anybody getting PhDs in the Middle Ages? Like, oh my goodness. That far back? Like, how do we know anything in the Middle Ages? Honestly, we have the Magna Carta, as she claims later on, and that gives us all of the information about everything that ever happened during that time.
There are probably women out there who wanted to. Most of those women were actually nuns, surprisingly enough.
Exactly right.
Oh, wow, imagine that. Again, debating her own position by doing all of this. And then she claims, I can't remember, she claims something that maybe here.
Beings can make decisions. I think that idea permeating society.
Yeah, Pumpkinhead, women, CEOs, it's a big position. I'm not necessarily saying they can't be CEOs, but if you're a CEO of like an oil field, for example, and I know this is probably an extreme condition, but I worked on the oil field and I know what it takes to be in the oil field, and I didn't see many women. So if you're a CEO, more than likely you were born into the right company, or you were DEI hire essentially, and you're now a CEO of the company, or you purchased something or something like that, and you don't know, you didn't work your way up through the ranks. If you did, props. You're the outlier. Don't make me out to be the bad guy because I'm saying that everybody, I don't talk in monoliths. I'm just saying that majority of women that are CEOs, I don't know. right? So I don't know as far as that goes. I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I don't know if it's the case that should be. Again, I think that secretarial work, nurse work, that's all perfectly fine for women to do. And I know that that's going to come off as sexist. I'm not trying to be sexist. I just believe that women should be protected. I think that they should be given the ability to be able to stay at home and have their kids raised like they want to be. But this idea that they all have to go be CEOs, they all have to go be boss babes, is making it so that people can't be mothers anymore. And that's the tragedy.
What you think is not the same thing as presenting evidence or giving me an argument. You're telling me that you just keep telling me, I like this. I think it's better. But you can't.
You asked me to tell you how it's been better.
You
I
have
did.
do you understand what an argument is? You said you're a debate coach, ma'am. Do you
Yes,
not
and
understand how to present
Rachel,
an argument?
you understand what an argument
you either
is.
have to.
And again, this is why I jumped to this part, because she tries to push it back off on her, and Rachel's come with facts and statistics and things like that. And Amanda has the slideshow, which she hasn't even actually pointed back to and said, yeah, according to this data on this slide, or I gave you my sources. So according to this source, this is this. She hasn't given any of that. And Rachel has, and yet she's trying to say that Rachel hasn't given her any points.
Have logic that backs it up, and so far on your logic you've been
You have to have a claim, you have to have evidence, you have to have reasoning.
Right, and you've given me none of that. None.
Okay,
Try
Rachel.
again.
All right, ask me a question.
You shouldn't have to have her ask you a question, because you know the debate prompt. Why are you not just immediately going back with, okay, feminism is good because I can show you that more women have gotten into the workforce, created more of a GDP than 0.2% or whatever the GDP has raised, something like that. If she wants to point at GDP and where half of our workforce is women, or a quarter or a third, I think it would be a third of our workforce is women, she should be able to point to the GDP has gone up almost a third of what it was. But I'm pretty sure it hasn't gone up to that point. So she can't point at GDP as a positive for feminism, and that's pretty much all she points at in reality, other than equality, fairness, all these virtues that feminism doesn't have a monopoly on these virtues. They're just trying to utilize them, or say that they're utilizing them. Yeah, his words of love. Women and men women need men. Watching a survival show once, there was a group of men and a group of women. The boat gets to the island and the women are crying because their stuff will get wet. The men probably just jumped in with their stuff in tow and hauled it over to the island, started a fire and dried it out. There's nothing wrong with things getting wet. Just because you get a little dirt under your fingernails or a little water on your toes is not going to hurt you. But yes, there's been a lot of, well, not maybe a lot, but a few videos of a few shows that I've watched of survival shows that the men start out awesome. They get their camp set up, they get their food, they get their fire, they're set, they're having a party essentially, and then the women are on the other side of the island just trying to find a campsite. They can't even find a campsite, and then when they find a campsite, they can't start fire, they can't do what they need to do. And these are women that have chosen to do this. It's not like this show is just grabbing people randomly off the street and saying, hey, do you want to do this? They're recruiting people. This is something that has happened because they wanted to be there. They thought that they could be there, and yet they can't. So yes, men are needed, period. Let's see. His words of love. I want to be a CEO of a farm with sheep. Yeah, I want to be a farmer. I want to be a shepherd. I'm tired of the rat race. I'm here to basically tell you guys that I want to disappear, and as soon as I can, I'm disappearing, I guess. I don't know. And taking in as many of you guys with me as I can. The men were having the time of their lives. Yeah, that's just it. Is again, they were having parties, they were eating good good meats and fish and food and drink, and the women couldn't even make a fire. Yeah, exactly. And then Crusaders, seeing that, I believe the women were dehydrated, starving, cold, and got lost multiple times and argued about how to do it, about what they were supposed to be doing. And the men just immediately fell into line behind the strongest of them, or the one that understood the strongest mind, or whatever the case is. But it's might. Yet again, comes down to might.
Tell me how, give me a specific instance, how feminism has made society better.
Feminism has made society better by having women be seen intellectually and morally equal, or at least competitive, to the men around them. And men have been able to become softer in a sense, more emotional, more honest with their partners, and more.
All right, so that before Rachel jumps into it, I'll jump into it because, for one, none of that was actually evidence of beneficial outcomes for either men or women. I don't care to be able to cry in public. That's not my goal. My goal is to provide and protect. And to protect, me going, oh my gosh, is not going to be a good case. So in the case of a actual threat, I'm going to be standing my ground. I'm not going to be crying. And if you're crying at one case for random reasons, you're more likely to be able to be forced to cry in other cases. If you have control over your emotions, like women want us to have, we can't just be crying willy-nilly. It's not something that's beneficial. And the idea that women could be equal to men it's not been beneficial. Women cannot be like men. And it's brought us into that slippery slope fallacy, that slippery slope idea of now women can transition to men and be a man, or men can transition to be women and be a woman. It's not biological. Biology does not change. Logic does not bend. These things are irreversible. They are not able to be changed at all.
More authentically themselves.
So when I present statistics to you, such as the fact that now that we have more cohabitation, more LGBTQ relationships, more out-of-wedlock births, that these things, fatherless homes raise the risks for children on every conceivable negative metric in life, from being jailed to having substance abuse, learning.
And you can see, like, she hasn't really been paying attention the whole way. It's just been, I showed you my slideshow. Why aren't you just accepting it and conceding your points? I know what I'm doing and you don't. But you can see right here that she has completely and utterly stopped paying attention to Rachel and what she's saying. She looks up every once in a while, but she's not actually comprehending anything that Rachel's saying. At that point in time, the debate's essentially over. She shouldn't have continued. I don't know exactly how to end a debate as a debater and say, this is not going anywhere. Moderator, let's just end this. But because if you do that, you're kind of conceding to a certain extent, is how I feel about it. But Amanda is no longer engaging, if she ever was. We're only an hour into the 3 hours and 12 minutes, and about 3 hour mark is where they end it. And then Dr. James Coons, sorry. He talks a little bit further, but point of the matter is this debate was ended in the first intro. Right. And I'm just kind of showing you the fallacies that the debate coach utilizes as much as she can. Now, here at 1:08, so here in a minute or so, she starts to actually deny her own stance.
Disorders, being abused, having a criminal record, ending up in any sort of negative situation in life that you can think of. Having no father in the home is the #1 risk factor for children, far and away above and beyond anything else. That women who live in cohabitative relationships, lesbian relationships, are far more likely to experience domestic violence than women who are living with a married partner.
And again, it goes back to that the conversation about the survival. women can't even coexist in a one-on-one condition better than men and women can coexist, let alone men and men. Men and men, I don't agree with gays, but the gays are the ones who have the best retention rate in relationships. It's the men. So why are the men the problem? How do you consider us the problem?
When I talk about the fact that we have now,
Rachel, this has been argued against you before, and you're just going to talk past it. But we can't know that for sure because oftentimes it's not reported in marital situations because of society. We can't know this for sure.
Yes, we can, and here's how we can. Yeah, this is
people lie, Rachel.
Like you are right now.
So we have.
So that's just it. Is again, like I'd mentioned earlier. Yes, I understand that people lie. That there's going to be times that they're not going to completely agree or completely admit or completely inform of everything that they've had happen to them because they're embarrassed, because they feel like that they should have done something more. I don't know. But the case of the matter is people do report more than they don't report. So it doesn't matter of how much is not reported because we can't guarantee it was or it wasn't. So me saying that there was more reported, I can't even really say that. But it doesn't change the fact that we have to go off of data. She says so herself.
Have 45 years of data from the National Incidence Study, which is an effort of the federal
incidents versus incidents in occurrence. And incidents are reported. Occurrence just means it happens. We can't know this for sure. You talked about this with Greg.
But we can see, if you can't look at data and see trends, you said in your opening, ma'am, that we should be making policy based off of data. And
where did I say that?
Whoa, where did I say that? You guys remember, right? I mentioned it and I told you to take a mental note. That was at about 11 minutes and 50 seconds into the debate, or into the slideshow. Into her own slideshow, she said it. I pointed it out that she said it, and it states it in text form, right? So there's no denying that this happened, that she believes this, and yet she wants to deny the data that Rachel is giving to her. Whether she can point to it and throw up a slideshow with a source on it or not, it's a source. It is there and it is reality. Whether Amanda goes to view it or not, it doesn't change the fact that it is a reality.
You literally said in your opening, we should be making policy based off of fairness and data. That's what you said in one of your last slides. And we have data. We have 45 years of data. And even if people lie, as a whole, you should see trends. You should see a trend that there's less domestic violence if no-fault divorce and feminism is going to protect women and children.
If that was the case, you would have seen a trend that just almost immediately skyrockets down, slopes and plummets down because no-fault divorce worked and all the women that were being abused and that were in bad relationships just all left their husbands, and that now it's all hunky-dory because now they can just leave whenever they want, right? So why is the data trending the opposite way? Why is it that more violence is happening because the biological father leaves and now there's a stepfather that doesn't understand the child? They don't know their ins and outs, their quirks and their behaviors, things. They need to be able to understand them better, right? So that's a good thing to have a biological family. All right, so I'll go ahead and jump to the closer so we can kind of get done with this debate. So I can let you guys go home. Go home. You're already home. I know.
It's a really, really high number.
But we'll get through this real quick so that you guys can, I know that everybody's got a life to live. I know I do. But we'll go ahead and finish up with this crazy ending. It is yeah, well, I'll just get into it.
So now the women who do want to stay home, not only do they face massive economic hardship, but they don't have their mothers or their cousins or their sisters or their friends at home to help them like they did before. Children used to be raised in extended families and in communities because all the women were home raising the kids.
Well, we call that school nowadays, but you don't send your kids to school.
Yeah, I think you probably do think it's great that the children are raised by people like you. You're their family now. You raise the kids. Okay, because the reason I homeschool my kids is because I want them to be around their mother, their father, their aunties and uncles, their cousins, their neighbors and friends in their community, our fellow parishioners.
Not everybody is afforded that privilege.
I don't want Amanda Norton.
So again, continuing to interrupt her instead of looking at the camera and looking her into her eye, essentially. I understand that you can't really look into someone's eye, but you can give them the respect, like I try to do with you guys, to look at you and acknowledge that you're a real person, that you're talking to me as if I'm a real person, and we are on the same page and respect each other on the reality that we are trying to get to an understanding. If you're not debating to get to an understanding, what are you essentially doing? You're yelling at a brick wall, right? Or you're making them yell at a brick wall. That's not going to get us anywhere. We need to be able to debate properly. I think it's dialectically, where you're actually proposing real cases, real facts, real information. I think Andrew Wilson mentions at one point in time, you give three your best websites or your best sources, and you then present them in the debate, but those are the three sources that the other person has to research and fully understand how to demolish or be able to concede or whatever they have to do. We need to get back to the better debating, not just sophistry, not just I'm right because I feel like I'm right.
Women to raise my kids, but most women feel they don't have that choice. Most women feel they've got to use the public school system and they've got to pay for daycare because they can't make it otherwise. So if
they don't have kids, no one's making them have kids.
If feminism is supposed to be about giving women choices, why did it take away their choice?
It didn't take away their choice to have children.
And it just took away their choice to stay home with those children. She goes on to state, well, why did you homeschool if you don't have all the kids or all the women at home? Well, I can't until I start the trend back to being at home. Women have been forced into the workforce. So we're here trying to start the trend back to be able to allow those women to be home.
To have children if they don't want to.
What if they want to have?
Well, then they want to have it both ways and they can't.
No, what if women,
You just said, again, debate ended. You just said what you can't have is both ways, and yet you are sitting here saying that you can have it both ways as a biological determinist or whatever she said at the beginning, that free will is just an illusion and that we're set on a path, but yet trans can be trans.
Most women didn't want to go to work, and I bet there's a ton of women watching this right now. They're gonna be like, she's right, fuck this shit, I don't like going to work. Whose idea was this that I have to get up every day? Oh, they're lazy.
Yeah, right there. I cannot believe that she actually said that. Women that have kids out there, I know many of my followers do. Are you considered lazy by anyone that you know personally? Because I, for one, am going to tell you that you are not in any way, shape, or form lazy for being a mother. You do a lot for your kids. You do a lot for the community by raising your kids right. I give you respect for the parenting that you do with a biological father. The single mother, though, and I'm not targeting single mothers here. Please understand that if you're a single mother, there are cases that you did not have the choice. I understand that. But the idea that we have no fault divorce and they can just divorce them however they want to or whenever they want to and just bail for whatever reason. the men have the equality and should be able to debate it for any reason too. And you're not going to like that. The state is not going to accept that. So we need to get back to actual equality. And feminism does not support equality.
You said that, okay, so you think women who'd rather stay home and raise their children are lazy.
Yeah.
Do you think you could survive one day in my life as a mother of 5 children under 11?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I could. I'm so much better than you. Someone that calling you lazy, calling her lazy, calling anybody that wants to have kids and feed back into the actual community. She thinks you're lazy. I'll just leave it at that, I guess. His words of love. Yeah, I don't understand it. She couldn't even play with children. She couldn't even handle the time that it would take, the energy that it would take to spend the activity time with children. She has guinea pigs. That's what she has. She doesn't have kids. She doesn't have any intention of having kids. Now, whether she can or she can't, I don't know. I don't know the case in that, but she doesn't. She has guinea pigs, which is not kids. It is not the case. She is a teacher, and she talks about this. I want to say I might cover it, but I'm not sure. Pumpkinhead, my mom is a single mother, and she had it rough AF, and that's just it. I know many of my friends that were raised by single moms, and they have a rough life. We need to get out of the idea that we need to get back into the idea of vetting your partner fully before that intimacy comes into play, like I've mentioned before. But once that intimacy has come into play, if you feel comfortable enough to get into the intimacy with that person, you love them. You have to be able to force through it. If they become violent or something of that nature, yes, of course, get out of a bad situation. But you need to start thinking that, is this really me or is it really them? And we need to start getting back to understanding ourselves.
I think you could do.
I teach 11 and 12-year-olds every day. 7 times a day, I have a room full of 15, 11, and 12-year-olds. Yeah, I could do it.
Yeah, in a building where you have them for like an hour and then they switch out to a different kid and you get to go home at the end of the day. You're not up with them all night while they're throwing up. You're not around them all day long. You have a building. You have other teachers. You have other adults. You've got this whole
You have a husband. You have your aunt and your cousins and all those other people.
I don't, because all the women
I thought that's why you homeschooled.
No, the women in my family all went to work. So yes,
But you said you homeschooled because you want them around their cousins and their aunts and their husbands.
I do, but you sent all the women to work. So
then
that's just like she's saying, I want them here. But your attitude, your ideology has made it so that I can't have them here. So until I start the trend back to that way, I need to start that trend. Yeah, Pumpkinhead, she teaches kids. Young. And again, she's a drama debate coach. Drama/debate coach. So again, thinking fantasy for drama and then thinking logically for debate. I don't know how I feel about that combination. Public school system. I guess that explains everything, right?
why do you homeschool if that's not your goal? I mean, this is getting way off target, but I think it's just kind of showing.
It is my goal. I'm saying that women like you, selfish women like you who want to be guinea pig moms, ruined it for the women like me who want to raise the next generation of human beings because you think I'm lazy and you think you're the one doing the real work because you sit on your ass in a classroom for a couple hours a day and read out of a book and grade some papers. I'm also educating my own children and raising them 24/7. And I would love it. And the other stay-at-home moms would love it if we weren't this tiny minority of people who are now kind of isolated because all the other women are in cubicles making money for corporations, and to double the tax base, and to make sure that women like you get to indoctrinate our kids with your worldview instead of ours.
You don't know how the public school system works.
I think you don't know how the public school system works because you cannot teach kids without your ideology bleeding through into your teachings. Unless you're a robot. I mean, it's like me right now, guys. I've said things that maybe I don't necessarily should say online. I don't know. All I'm saying is there's cases where we don't always say things exactly as a script should say, or whatever the case is. And unless you're trying to feed them your ideology, you're going to feed them your ideology regardless.
I never once shared my views with children.
I know what you can't teach children all day. You just told me you spend more time with kids than I do. You spend as much time.
I didn't say that.
So
I didn't say I spend more time with children than you do, Rachel.
But you tried to implicate that. You tried to make it an assumption that because you have more kids in your classroom at a time, that you are better with kids, that you have more understanding of what they are. But if you're not with them all the time, if you're not there 24/7 with them and up, like Rachel is saying, up through the night, up through the sicknesses, up through all of that, this is why they shouldn't be in the workforce. Nothing against you. I want to be the provider, and you've basically removed that ability from me. I can't make enough to provide for a whole household without multiple incomes. That's why I'm here trying to make something of this so that I can have a family, be able to provide for them. I don't want to just talk. I want to be what I'm trying to preach. Just now turning on my all messages. Man, YouTube sucks with this. Live chat, all chat, top chat. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, long story short, let's get back to it.
Well, you're
a diehard leftist. You think that doesn't
I'm not.
ooze out of your yes, you are.
I'm not.
Okay. Give me one political view you hold that's right-wing then, or conservative.
Denying gender affirming care to children, which I said at the beginning.
That is
right-leaning.
Hey, TVT, thank you very much for the engagement, buddy. I'll hopefully be in the Crucible chat tonight. For anybody that's watching, join us in the Crucible chat tonight. I think it's going to be fire. Maybe not. We'll see. But TVT, thank you very much for the engagement. We'll see you later, buddy.
It's not right-leaning. That's like barely sane. You don't get right-leaning
actually,
for
I'm
not mutilating children.
I'm not going to talk about this anymore.
I know you don't.
Did you circumcise your child? Do you have boys? Did you circumcise them?
I'm not going to tell you that.
Then why should I tell you?
This might be a good opportunity to go into the Q&A. Do you guys have any topics that you still want to cover?
And see so we're just about to get to the closing statement. This is where I'm trying to get to. But like Pumpkinhead just said right there, gender affirming care for children is vile. This is the gender or the Crucible Crusader. Later, bro. Oh, you're not leaving yet? Okay. Anyway, so long story short, she's trying to equate circumcision to gender affirming care. Now, where I don't know how I feel about circumcision, like Rachel's about to say, I don't know exactly how I feel about it, but you cannot equate that to the transitioning, right? And she's about to explain that.
It's about mutilating children, and then she's like, Rachel.
You think circumcision is the same thing as turning a kid's penis inside out?
No.
Easy,
taking his
Rachel.
testicles off, removing
Did I say it was?
Easy.
Did I say
why would you bring it up? Why would you bring that up?
I brought it up because you talked about mutilation, and some people think it is.
Let's do closing statements real quick, James, and then we'll go to super chats.
My closing statement is that this debate was a mess. Rachel never once engaged with what I was actually saying, and instead shoved a pile of straw into both my eyes and ears. That is my
and yours. For one, I'm not a debater yet. I'm hoping to be, but I'm not yet. But I don't think that's how the closing statement should have gone. I'm pretty sure she went first. So wouldn't it be Rachel would go first for the closing? I'm not completely sure, but there was no option. She just immediately started saying her piece and then said it with that was the dumbest closing statement I have ever heard in my life. She just rubbed straw in my eyes and yours. She didn't create any facts, but yet she did. I'm not giving any facts, but I think I did. That was a dumb closing statement.
Closing statement. I wish you would have Really, Rachel, I really wish you would have engaged with what I was saying instead of just begging the question.
Who wasn't engaging? Again, guys, if you haven't seen this whole debate, modern day debates, go check them out. Go check this debate out. Rachel Wilson, she's starting to get some really good debates going on. And then Amanda, I might cover it later, I don't know, but Amanda went on and freaking tried to cope on a different stream saying that she won this debate. Really?
And doing this weird sort of circular reasoning, contradictory cognitive bias thing that you do. I think I don't think you're dumb, and I don't think you're ignorant. I just think that you don't want to go there.
You don't want to go there. You don't want to go there. All right. I won't necessarily bore us with the closing statement where Rachel just basically tells her, yeah, I demolished you. There's no reason to continue on with that. But I'll go ahead and jump to the end right before they get done. So where she is asked by a super chatter on what the 3 laws of logic are. And she, as a debate coach, this is how she reacts.
Lazy. This one from Basil Problem says, I'll miss you. Wow, Basil's leaving. Bye-bye.
Oh, Basil Problem. You know what, though? I want to take Amanda. We live in the same city. I'm not going to say where, but we live in the same city. I would love to take Amanda through a day in my life and see how she feels about having to hack it on a...
And then she tries to turn around and say, yeah, you can come to me and we can start my day first. Oh, where was it? I can't remember where she... Anyway.
That's not what was happening. And a very, very tired one. I can't do it right now.
Here it is.
And folks, you can see them at the bottom right of your screen. They sponsor DebateCon 6. We are eternally grateful. Check out their link in the description box. Zachary was awesome. So yes, but yeah, Zachary was in the same room as both Rachel and Amanda.
There needs to be like a skip forward button somewhere.
When you guys got to engage a bit during the Q&A. That's cool. And Shaw XD says, Amanda, we got that.
Come on.
See, I need a container. Says Rachel, thank you for supporting real women. Amanda, you are I'm not a fan. Let's see.
I'm not a fan.
I don't understand. Okay. Now, do you have guinea pigs? Did you mention having guinea pigs?
All right. Well, anyway, long story short, I'm not going to necessarily try to find it because I'm at the end of my time with you guys. But basically, she is asked what the 3 laws of logic are. She, as a debate coach, now the 3 laws of logic, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm just learning debate, I can list them. The law of identity, the law of non-contradiction, and the law of excluded middle. Those are the 3 laws of logic. I, as a beginner, knew this as they were asking the question. She, as a debate coach, should be reiterating this constantly throughout the day for even one person, let alone if she's been a coach for any amount of time. She should have known that off the top of her head. So, again, is this basically saying that feminism has been debunked? Because a debate coach can't even logically cite out how feminism is good for society, how it equalizes actual society. Crucible Crusader, closing statements should always be to get your points across once again in quick summary and how it refutes your opponents, not to say how poorly you think your opponent did. Yeah, that would be an ad hominem. I don't know exactly the fallacies exactly, but it's definitely not a closing statement of any way, shape, or form from a debate coach. Again, they ask her the 3 laws of logic. She says she's too tired. Refers to, or Rachel says, I can do it. She does it. And then Amanda says, well, yeah, that's it. I wouldn't have been able to do it if you hadn't said it. So there you go. End of discussion. Oh, man. So I am not behind feminism at all whatsoever. I used to think that it had some place. I don't anymore. What do you guys think? Drop them down, your comments in the comment section below. Let's have a discussion. For now, I'll go ahead and leave you with that. Let me see what else I've got real quick. I know I have something that I wanted to share. Potato fact of the week. There we go. Did you know potatoes grow best when the soil is stable and undisturbed? Too much sudden disruption causes weak roots and malformed growth. Funny how that works for societies too. And of course, this episode is brought to you by Sputnik Tactical Root System. Because when the pressure hits from above, you don't panic. You dig in responsibly. Sputnik. Stay grounded. Stay growing. And of course, the real danger isn't one incident. It's how quickly we're trained to react. Loudly, emotionally, and immediately before we've even asked the right questions. So I'm here trying to step back from the breaking news, look at things logically, and share them with how I feel things are. Reactions are powerful, but restraint, that is wisdom. As for now, please take care of yourselves out there. Always remember your Second Amendment rights within the United States. Your response time will always be faster than that of the police. Stay strapped. Stay around. You're important. I care about every single one of you. Be kind, always. And for those outside of the United States, stop giving up your rights. Do not go through with the gun buyback program and hold your ground. You're important just like the rest of us. For now, please take care of yourselves out there. And I greatly appreciate the support. You have a good night. The Potato signing off.
The silence is heavy, the papers are gone. We're shouting the question, the night carries on. Locked doors and shadows, they're hiding the truth. We're tearing the chains with the sound of our youth. Release the last, no more disguise. Truth in the open, no more lies. We won't back down, we won't desist. We want the names. Release the list. Release the list. Whispers in hallways, the secrets they keep.